For Victims and Villains, my name is Josh, and today we're talking about the indie horror film Dead Media. Dead Media tells the story of an uncle and a niece and a couple of friends that bond over their love of a lost horror film via DVD and end up unlocking an ancient curse. I have to say, I really had a blast with this film. I love physical media. If you guys have seen some of our older videos, you guys know that I have a massive Blu-ray collection. I love talking about it. Nothing really beats the feel of placing a VHS into the VCR or a DVD or Blu-ray into the player physically. And so this is the kind of movie that felt like it was made for an audience like me. So I had a lot of fun with this. This film kind of feels like it's almost like a celebration of not only physical media as a whole, but also at the same time a love of these direct-to-video 80s films. And I really just had a blast with it. I absolutely love the look of this film, particularly some of the way that they have this analog feel to them and kind of how that mixes into modern day crisp, kind of that 4K look. I think the director and the visuals really do blend together nicely. On top of that, our kind of main threat, if you will, ends up kind of being not quite a zombie, but a zombie adjacent creature. And I think one of the cool things that they managed to do with this is that they managed to have these creatures, if you will, look very analog, and even the way that they move kind of has this vibration of analog while also kind of being set in the real world. And I thought that was such a uniquely visual that really made this film kind of pop and really stand out. I think my biggest problem here with Dead Media just happens to be its pacing. The first two acts are paced impeccably and really do have this nice steady pace to them that really allows these characters to kind of open up, get to know them, be developed, and also at the same time just serve as a love letter to physical media and really lost media as well. And I also think that it has so much room to breathe in these first two acts, and then you kind of hit the third act and it's like almost like that just kind of goes out the window. The pacing in the third act just kind of comes to this like screeching halt where there's still things happening, and yes, it's still interesting, but the pacing that you had in the first two acts just kind of gets disrupted, and it's not for the best. This is also the part in the storytelling that kind of just starts to kind of take really weird decisions in terms of its narrative. Also, it just kind of comes to this screeching halt that is just such a shame. Not to mention that the back half of the third act is aggressively predictable. And I think even in spite of a lot of these issues that I had, this is still a film that I would recommend to any horror fan, any lover of physical media, and anyone that grew up on the direct-to-video, Roger Corman, especially era of horror. With that one said, I'm ready to run this one through our Rorschach rating scale. I'm going to go ahead and give Dead Media a 3.5 out of 5. Overall, I think this movie is really smart and it's a lot of fun. I think this movie is a perfect throwback to the era of the 80s that is just made for direct-to-video and all of its weirdness, especially lovers of Roger Corman. The acting here, it's okay. My biggest problems here is going to be the pacing. I think the first two acts have tremendous pace, but the third act kind of does get a little bit wonky and kind of has some trouble kind of following through with some of it. It is also a little bit predictable in the end, but overall, I thought this was a really fun time and had a great mythology to it, as well as some fun gags and some fun creatures as well. You can catch Dead Media on VOD this upcoming Tuesday, July 26th, wherever you guys get your movies from. We'll provide links in the show notes below where you guys can catch it. In the show notes below, you guys will also find links to our mental health resource library, more movie reviews like this, links to our podcast network and social media, and the subscribe button. So until next time, remember to stay classy and keep it spooky.